Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good morning, everybody. Namaste. We have another Ask Swami today. So this started years ago when we started accumulating lots and lots of questions from the internet audience from all over the world. And then somebody, actually it was a monk who had a bright idea from our main monastery in Belur Mutt. They said that why don't you have a program where you can collect the questions and answer the questions. And it's good so that the answers are preserved on the net and it's available for everybody. So what we do here is there's a mix of questions which we have selected. And selection is important because we get hundreds, if not thousands of questions. And we have an intrepid team which goes through all of that and selects a few and presents it to me. We have some of those and some questions from the live audience, all of you here. I'll ask you to raise your hands if you have a question, and then you come forward here to the first row and tell us your name and ask the question in brief. And I always say that don't wait for, when is my question? When is he going to answer my question? Often, if you hear the question of somebody else's question and listen to the answer, it might be of help to you, help to us. So it's good to listen to all the questions and the answers. All right, Diane has the questions. We'll take some questions from the internet audience first.
Good morning, Swamiji. Hello.
Yes.
The first question is from Maya King from the UK. How should we pray? In the hope for lasting peace on earth, is it acceptable to pray for the end of wars and the dissolving of hatred in the hearts of our perceived enemies, so that their divinity within can shine? Or should I limit my prayer to not my will, but let thy will be done?
How should we pray? What should we pray for? What we should not really do, and you can do it, but you should not really do, is bargain with the Lord. That is mass religion, by the way. Most of religion is very understandable. In life, there are so many struggles, so many insecurities and unhappinesses. And so people need a psychological support. And from ancient times, people have found this in spirituality. That's all right. But Sri Ramakrishna says, when you're face to face with a king, an emperor, would you ask for cabbages and potatoes and pumpkins? No. So instead of asking for money or any worldly gain, ask for devotion, for love of God, for surrender to God, for knowledge, for dispassion for the world, for higher spiritual virtues. So that's what we should ask for. Should we pray? How should we pray? One of Sri Ramakrishna's disciples, if I'm not wrong, it was Akhandanandaji, he says, Sri Ramakrishna would teach his disciples how to pray. And he said he would pray to God like a child, a little child prays, appeals to its mother. And he would demonstrate. He would sit down and throw his arms out like a little baby crying for his mother and would cry out, "Oh mother, oh mother, give me pure love for thee. Do not delude me with thy world bewitching Maya." These are the exact words he would use. Give me devotion, give me knowledge. And he would throw his arms out and cry like a child and actually weep. Tears would stream down his cheeks. Swami Akhandananda, if I'm not wrong, one of the direct disciples records that even his chest became wet with his tears. And he was teaching. He was teaching disciples, how do you pray? You pray with this longing heart, not with too many words. Not if the words do not come, adopt a formal prayer. If the words come, then whatever words are coming from one's heart, one can pray. Now suppose one is in a crisis in the world, whether it is a money crisis or a relationship crisis, or often someone beloved who is in trouble, and one desperately prays to the Lord for help. One can do that. One can do that, especially if it is for somebody else. But at the end of it, always acknowledge, thy will be done. Always acknowledge, because after all, his, her will be done. After all, whose will is being done here? Not ours, not ours. So it's good. Just be honest. Whatever comes from within, pour it out to the Lord and acknowledge. It's your will, and whatever happens, I will accept it as your will, no matter how difficult it is. So, can I pray for the end to wars? Can I pray for hatred to be resolved? Certainly, why not? Certainly. Better than selfish prayers for one's own worldly advantage, much better is the prayer for the welfare of all beings. Before we start our spiritual practices, pray to the Lord for peace, for all beings, happiness for everybody. Even your annoying roommate or your annoying boss or whoever it is, for their well-being, for their peace of mind. And then acknowledge that and pray for spiritual qualities, for spiritual progress, for devotion, bhakti, for knowledge, jnana, for the vision of the Lord, if you dare. He would pray, Sri Ramakrishna, O Ma, O Mother, show yourself to me. You have shown yourself to Ram Prasad and others. Will I not be able to see you? And in the end, always acknowledging your will, not mine. Thou, thou, not me, not me. In Bengali, he would say, tuhu, naham, naham, not me, not me. Yes. Another one.
This question is from...
Is it on?
This question?
No. Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
This question is from Shubho Bharata Chakravorty. I am Shubho from West Bengal, India. Since the age of 15, I have decided to become a monk at the Ramakrishna Mission. I am 18 now and have just joined college. I reached out to the Belo headquarters via email and consulted with a senior monk regarding my intention to join. And I was advised to complete my bachelor's degree as a minimum qualification. I plan to follow this guidance and finish my degree by the age of 22, after which I can join the mission. Now, my question is, how can I maintain my inner peace and spiritual focus in an environment that feels so antagonistic and alien to my state of mind, especially when I must live in it for almost 4 years? How can I sustain the strength and fortitude required to stay true to my aspiration for monastic life and avoid faltering, particularly in this consumeristic, materialistic, and superficial world shaped by social media, the internet, and technology?
Good. First of all, we'll acknowledge this is a great blessing that this young boy has the intention of devoting oneself to spiritual life and spiritual life alone. That's what being a monk means. You don't want anything else in life, just God. Even the intention itself it's praiseworthy. It's wonderful. So you have this intention. Most important is to protect and cherish it. Sri Ramakrishna says when the sapling is tender, you planted a sapling, it's tender, you need to fence it around. Otherwise, goats and cows will come and eat it up. As he has nicely delineated what are the goats and cows, the world around, it will come and eat it up. So you have to fence it around. For that, you have to generate a spiritual atmosphere for yourself. Read spiritual books. You will, definitely, because you are interested in becoming a monk. Of course, you will be reading spiritual books. There are ashrams. I don't know what is the ashram close to you. Go and visit the ashram. Spend time with the monks. Volunteer in the ashram. Have a little shrine which you design for yourself. Keep Thakur Ma Swamiji there in your personal shrine. Do a little worship, maybe a couple of flowers and an incense morning and evening. Bow down from the core of your heart. Pray to the Divine Mother that this intention of mine, may it be fulfilled by your grace. Be careful about company. Good company or better than good company is best. If no good company is not available, then no company is better than bad company. Rather walk alone. Protect your mind first. Now, one important thing here is where are my sights? Are my sights on God, on spiritual practices, or my sights on how awful the world around is? That's dangerous. Don't keep my sights. I will not keep my sight on how awful the world around is. No. Then I'll be sucked back into it. Rather, Sri Ramakrishna says, the more you go towards the world, the more you go towards God, the more the world is left behind automatically. Don't try to push the world away. You say the world is awful, it's social media, internet, and all these consumerist, materialist tendencies. All right, but don't keep your attention there. Keep the attention on God. The thoughts on God, the feelings on God, and the activities centered around God. You will have to study and complete your education. And that's good. That's good. Monastic life is a lifelong pursuit. You will start now till the end of your life. So it requires patience. So if one does not have the patience to complete one's college degree for the next 3 years, how are you going to stay for 30 years or 60 years hence, for years and years and decades and decades? I remember reading this Russian novel long ago. I don't know who's, Dostoevsky or somebody. There was a young man who wanted to become a monk, and just ahead of his university degree. So he goes to this Russian Orthodox church, to the father there, and says, I want to join and become a monk. The father knows the psychology of the young man. Is there some examination coming along? He said, yes. She said, well, complete that and come. He said, no, I don't want to. I just want to become a monk right now. And he said, look, my boy, you need patience for decades and decades ahead. If you do not have patience to complete the degree for next 1 year, how will you pull along for the rest of your life? So complete that. It's good. I had the exact same tendency. I remember when I went to become a monk first, I was halfway through a particular degree which I was doing, a business school degree. And I told my guru I want to become a monk. And the first thing he asked was, he would speak very slowly. What are you doing now? I said, I'm doing this degree. How much is left? So I don't know how he knew exactly the psychology, or maybe they know. And I said, 1 more year. And see how gentle he was. He didn't scold me. He said, is it good to leave things halfway? It's always good to complete something. Is it good to leave things halfway? And I had a worry. I'm sure Shubho has the same worry. But will everything be all right? Will I be able to become a monk? I don't know what will happen in the next 1 year. And he reassured me. He said, nothing will go wrong. You finish the degree and you'll become a monk. And it exactly happened. 1 year later, I did become a monk. So I pray to the Lord, to Thakur Ma Swamiji, for young Shubho. You complete the degree, hold on to spiritual life, remain centered in spiritual life, and then happily go and become a monk. Don't take no for an answer. Always push ahead. Become a monk. Yes, very good. Very good. One thing which is helpful, I don't know if this young man has taken mantra diksha. You are near Calcutta itself. Go to Belur Math and take mantra diksha. So there is something that you can hold on to. Your Ishta Devata, the mantra given by your guru. You have a guru, a mantra, a practice of your own, which will become the center of your way. How do you? If I say hold on to God, your question would be how? What exactly, precisely, what am I supposed to do? When you have the mantra, you know what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to repeat that mantra and hold on to that mantra. So yes, very good. Anybody who has a question can raise your hand. The gentleman here, yes, you can come here. And tell us your question and ask. Tell us your name.
Rams Maharaj, my name is Yudhajit. About fostering that environment around ourselves, my question was, I try to do some reading by myself, and these days I've been trying to find people even if one person I can sit with and share that reading with. Let's call it a satsang of some sort. And I was recently trying to do a reading of Karma Yoga by Swamiji. And I was trying to do the sort of close reading which was spoken about with Father Clooney in the last session.
Yes.
And so I was trying to understand what's the best way to read through a text like one of Swamiji's works or any other, maybe the Gita. If there's two novices like myself and somebody else, how to approach an hour's time and how to read, how to sit together.
One way is to, if you can do it with somebody else, even better. 2 minds are always better than 1. And somebody else other than you, a certain discipline is imposed then. Because if I'm going to turn up for the reading at such and such time, and I don't feel like it that day, but I have given a commitment to 1 or 2 other persons, so I'll turn up. Yeah. That's a good thing. That's the advantage of having a sangha, a group of like-minded individuals. Text. Read through the text, maybe 1 or 2 pages. Then review. Review is a kind of recapitulation. What did we read? And you will often find when you're reading through, it seems simple. Swamiji's language is lucid and simple. But to our surprise, we will discover there are big gaps in what we have read. It's not in our memory. We have not absorbed it. Then the next thing to do is to revise. Go back there and see what was read. So don't be in a hurry to complete it. You read maybe 5 or 10 pages. The other person reads, 5 minutes or maybe. The other person reads 5 minutes. Then you go back and see what was read. Then you question. What did he say? And there are many things to question. For example, what did he not say? What did he advise? And what could have been the alternatives? Why did he advise this and not that? Like this. Read in between the lines also. What's going on here? Text is a wonderful thing to investigate closely. So, at the bare minimum, read, recite, review. They're called the 3 R's of close reading. First step is to read it, not too much, a chunk of it, and then recite. Recite does not mean memorize it. It means just try to summarize in your own words. And then you look back and see what are the gaps. So you'll have to revise it again, the original text. And it's a great way of absorbing a text. Then follow it up with questions, discussions. So have specific times for that. Sometimes the discussions may take you far away from the text itself. So don't do that. Around the text, discussions around the text. How does it apply to the world? How does it apply to me? Which part of it appeals to me, which does not? What is it that so there are many questions. I'm just giving you some samples. What is it that I learned new? What is it that I did not understand? What is it that I always knew and he has now put it on paper like this? Yeah. Find a group. There are these groups actually. Even here, among the young volunteers who come here, they have formed their own groups reading different texts. Yes. Good.
Thank you.
This question is from Evert Herzenberg. Every day I watch videos of your talks and a question came up. Is reflected consciousness the same as witness consciousness?
A subtle question. First we'll see what the question is, and then we'll see why it's subtle, and then what is the answer to that. So what's the question? What is reflected consciousness? It's actually pretty easy. Right now, if we look into our own experience, we will notice we are aware. We are aware of things, but we are aware. When I say body, we know what we mean. This one. When I say mind, thoughts, memories, desires, sensations, each one of them corresponds to something we can locate. And when I say awareness, yes, we have a general sense of being aware, conscious, aware. That's the reflected consciousness. That's called the reflected consciousness in Sanskrit, Chidabhasa. The shadow consciousness, the reflected consciousness. And Vedanta says that is not the original consciousness. That is not pure consciousness or truly what we are. It's a reflection of that in the mind. It's a reflection of the pure consciousness in the mind. Now, I'll give you an example which I have used often, which can answer this question and also create confusions. We'll see how. So, two examples. One, both of which will answer the question, what is reflected consciousness, what is original consciousness, are they same? And will help to clarify the answer also. The first one is the mirror with the face. Suppose I put a mirror in front of myself and my face is reflected in the mirror. Exactly like that, when the mind appears to you, thoughts, for example, when you wake up in the morning, thoughts, memories, feelings, perceptions. Even perceptions are in the mind, by the way. So perceptions, they all appear and you feel in all of them, I'm aware. It's a first person experience. It's a subjective experience. So that subjective experience, the first person experience, the technical term for that is qualia. It feels like something. That's because there is consciousness there. That's the reflected consciousness. And Vedanta says, just like the original face is here and the mirror is there and the face reflected in the mirror is there, exactly like that, there is mind, there's consciousness shining in the mind, and there is the real consciousness which you are. That's something we don't know. Why don't we know it? It's like the mirror. The mirror example is wonderful. The mirror example shows there is a mirror, there is a reflected face, and we see the reflected face. Just like we feel the reflected consciousness. We are sort of intuitively aware of the reflected consciousness. We are not even intuitively, phenomenologically aware. In our subjective experience, it's quite evident that we are conscious. Not only we are conscious of something, that we are conscious, that becomes clear. So that's like the reflected face in the mirror, which is visible. See, what is the characteristic of the reflected face in the mirror? It's visible, you can see it. You can't see your own face. You can't see your own face. But there are certain other characteristics. For example, the reflected face appears when the mirror is there. If the mirror is not there, reflected face will not appear. Reflected consciousness is evident when the mind is working. When the mind is not working, deep sleep, anesthesia, reflected consciousness is not evident. And that's why we feel it's unconscious. We are not aware of anything. We are not even aware of being aware. That's because the reflected consciousness has disappeared. Also, most importantly, this face here, it's the real face. The face in the mirror is not the real face. This consciousness here is you, the consciousness. And that consciousness is not, quote unquote, the real consciousness. We'll come back to it. We'll have to revisit it again. Also, just implications. The face in the mirror is affected by the mirror. If you have a concave mirror, the face will appear in a weird way. If it's a convex mirror, the face will appear in another weird way. If it's a dusty mirror, the face will appear in a particular way. If it's a clean, polished mirror, the face will be a faithful reproduction of your real face. It's not even a face. It's the mirror. It looks like your face, but if you touch it, will you touch skin there in the mirror? No. You will touch the mirror. You will touch the glass. Similarly, if you try to investigate the reflected consciousness, all you will find is the mind. And the reflected consciousness is affected by the mind. When the mind is restless, you will feel, this conscious being, I have become restless. When there is pain in the mind, I am hurting. When there is excitement in the mind, I am excited. When the mind is alert and awake, I am alert and awake. When the mind is sleepy, I am feeling sleepy. When the mind falls into deep sleep, I am gone. So whatever happens to the mind seems to affect that reflected consciousness. Again, I'm using seems. So this is one example. And if you use this example and then go back to the question which has been asked, is the reflected consciousness same as the witness consciousness, the original consciousness? That is the correct term, witness consciousness. In Sanskrit, sakshi. The witness reflected consciousness is called Chidabhasa, and the original consciousness or witness consciousness is called Sakshi. Sakshi Chaitanya or Sakshi. So is the witness the same as the reflected consciousness? Is the original face the same as the reflected face? Our intuitive answer will be no. So that's one answer. No. But then I'll give you another answer. Yes. That's why it's a subtle question. Another example, let me give the second example. Those who have studied Advaita Vedanta, they will know these are two different models. One is called Pratibimbavada, another one is called Avachedavada. The reflection theory, the limitation theory. Now let's go to the limitation theory example. There's the window. You can't see it, I can see it behind you. And the window is made of rectangles. And if you look out into the sky through the window, or suppose you're in an attic room or something, there's a skylight and it's made of these rectangles. And you look out into the sky. What will you see? 4 different squares. One square sky, one square sky. It's even more clear if there are rectangles and in the grill, in the skylight itself. There are circles and rectangles. You'll see a circular sky, a rectangular sky, a square sky, a triangular sky. But is the sky triangular? Is the sky circular? Is the sky rectangular? Not at all. Those are qualities belonging to the skylight, the window, in the ceiling. There are grills there. There's a lattice there, which is giving these shapes. But the sky seems to be divided like that. The sky itself has nothing to do with those square shapes or rectangular shapes or triangular shapes. Now, according to this theory, it's called the limitation theory. The limitations are entirely in the body-mind. They are not in consciousness. But consciousness appears to be limited. Now, here is the crucial thing. The rectangular sky or the triangular sky which you are seeing there and the real sky, are they not one and the same? Mm-hmm. They are one and the same. Let me repeat that. Are you following the example? Imagine you're lying back in bed and there's a skylight and you're seeing the blue sky, but the skylight has a design, a lattice or a grill. And the blue sky beyond now seems triangular. This triangular, there is rectangular. But I'm telling you, the rectangular sky and the triangular sky, they are not rectangular, not triangular. And when you're the sky that you're seeing through the rectangle, through the triangle, is actually the real sky. Even when it appears rectangular or triangular. Is this understood? Now, the rectangular sky, the triangular sky, and that's the reflected consciousness. The actual sky is the sky beyond is the real consciousness. Is the reflected consciousness same as the real consciousness? Yes. Now, to get a real answer to this question, you see how subtle this question is. You'll have to put these two examples together. Both of these models are not ultimately true. They're meant to point out something which we have to grasp. What's the essential point between them? There is one consciousness shining through which seems to take on the properties of the mind. So while experiencing, there is the answer to the question. Reflected consciousness, same as witness consciousness? Yes and no. No, in the sense of the reflection. As long as it is firmly identified with the mind, like the mirror and the face in the mirror, then no, reflected consciousness is not the same as the real consciousness. Because what has happened there, the characteristics of the mind are predominant there. But while experiencing the consciousness through the mind, like the lattice in the, if you can distinguish what belongs to the mind, keep it in the mind, and the consciousness in itself, while looking through the grill, then you are accessing the real consciousness. Only problem is here, these are all objective. The sky is somewhere there. Here you're talking about yourself. That's what makes it more difficult. Why at all get into this tangle? Because you have to catch hold of the closest, subtlest, clearest thing possible. The closest, subtlest, clearest thing possible is the mind, even closer is the ego, and closer is the consciousness reflected in the ego, or the consciousness limited by the ego. That's the closest you can get to yourself. You can even get even closer, but then you would be yourself. You would be the Atman. Okay, we'll leave it at that. So who wanted to ask questions? I have to. All right, the lady there. Somebody asked me, you're never inviting people from the back of the audience. So yes, please come.
Namaste, Swamiji.
Namaste.
My name is Shreya. My question is, how do I apply Vedanta to day-to-day lives? In your previous lecture, you spoke on karma yoga and spiritualizing your life. So how do I actually apply that when I wake up in the morning and go to my job or interact with friends? Like, how do I make that a part of me, the part of us?
Yes. How do I apply Vedanta in day-to-day life? One thing I want to share with you is, make your life about one thing only. Don't try to do a basket full of things. Yes, I have to repeat the mantra and hold on to the mantra, but also I have to tell the truth and be non-violent and solve the problems of the world, establish peace in the world, and be kind to people, and also be a skillful worker at the job, and be gentle and nice in my relations with people, and read the Gita and the Upanishads, and meditate morning and evening. That's a lot. That's a lot. Make your life about one thing only. Those who attended Father Clooney's discussion, the first question I asked him, in the very beginning of his book, he has said, my life is actually about one thing only. And here is the key. That is spirituality. And he has given specifically one experience he had as a teenager. And says all the rest of his life till today is basically an expansion of that. That's beautiful. Life should be about one thing only. Then it becomes powerful. Otherwise it's scattered. It's too much of a struggle. You do one thing, two other things seem to be undone then. And you can become worried about that. Practically you may multitask, but internally, spiritually, no multitasking. Life is about one thing only. The Danish philosopher Kierkegaard said, purity is desiring one thing only. Purity is desiring one thing only. Someone may ask a question here. Suppose the one thing I desire is something very worldly. It may not be evil. It could just be pleasure, or it could be money. So, is that purity? One can ask. I want only one thing. I'm just crazy about money, for example. Or I'm just crazy about Facebook likes. All I want is Facebook likes. Is that purity? But you will notice, if we are focused on something in the world, we want that thing only, you will notice the mind is not about one thing only. It will be scattered in half a dozen different things. Nothing worldly is pure. So make the life about one thing only. Mahatma Gandhi was asked, he writes in his biography, people ask me, who am I? And sometimes people think that I am a politician. Some people say I am a freedom fighter. Some people say I am a social worker, social reformer, educationist. But if you ask me, I am just a simple man in search of God. That's his self-identity. So let us be that. Let us be a God seeker. Just as Vivekananda set out to find, can you experience God? Like that. We are walking on the same path as Vivekananda and Buddha. See, that's too much. I don't think of myself that way. Well, think of yourself that way. We are human beings as much as they are. Vivekananda said, the masters and the prophets of the past are dead and gone, no matter how great they were. We have to become veritably, spiritual giants, enlightened beings, Jivan Muktas, Buddhas, prophets. We have to realize it for ourselves. So, first and foremost answer, is my life about one thing only? And make it so. Don't have to tell anybody, don't have to change Facebook status. That now I am a spiritual seeker, God seeker, that's my status. No. Internally, change the status internally. My life is about one thing only. And when I try to hold on to one thing, one powerful way is, as I said, mantra diksha. One way, that's one way. When I try to hold on to that one thing, all the other answers will come easily. Should I get up early in the morning or not? If I am seeking God, yes. The monks in the Himalayas would say, he who does not see the rising sun will never, the sun of knowledge will never rise in that person's life. So, should I get up early in the morning? Yes. Should I eat healthy? Yes. Should I be nice to this person? Yes. Should I do my best at work? Yes. Should I get upset when somebody is unfair? No. Because that one thing only is giving me the answers. All the problems in spiritual life, anger, lust, greed, anxiety, hatred, all will disappear. One powerful medicine is the love of God. If I generate, if I'm feeling the love of God, other things will not touch me. The negativities will not come there. They will enter, we will notice at the moment the love of God was not there at that moment in my heart. So make your life about one thing only. Then, yes, your question is important. There are great insights to be learned from each of the yogas. So from one thing only, I am seeking God, I am living in the presence of God all the time. Then, yes, Karma Yoga teaches me selfless, not selfish. That's a great principle. Now, how I will apply it will depend on my life. Common sense also. Then Bhakti Yoga teaches me love of God, not desire for the world. How I will apply it, to what extent I will apply it, we'll see. Then Raja Yoga teaches me concentration, not distraction. Not scatter my attention, focus. Focus on everything. If even a small task, so-called worldly task, a secular task in the office, in the community, that becomes a prayer if I do it with great focus. I am about one thing only, the Lord in my heart. Now I am filling out this form or, selling an item to a customer in the shop. It will become a prayer automatically. And then the great big question, what am I? What is all this? Jnana Yoga answers that. Self-knowledge, not just other knowledge. These are principles. They are not practical day-to-day instructions. But practical day-to-day instructions, one can give hundreds, it will not make any difference. But if you make your life about one thing only and make it about God, call it God realization, call it self-realization, whatever appeals to you, but about one thing only. And then the answers will come pretty easily. You won't even have to ask too much. Good question.
Thank you.
Yes, the gentleman there, please come. Then we'll come to you next. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste Swamiji, my name is Shiva.
Yes.
I've been listening to lectures for 3 years now and every hour, so thank you so much for all you do. My question is about, we talk about how the world is an appearance and it's not real, and it's actually an appearance in Brahman, of Brahman, to Brahman. That's the in and off makes sense intuitively because of your examples of gold ornament and wave water and so on. But to Brahman, I'm not able to get my mind around it because it seems to imply a subject-object duality. Until in one of your previous Q&A sessions, you used the oft-repeated 10th man example. And you mentioned it several dozen times, but that one instance you made a new insight. You talked about how just like the 10 men are used to counting outside, we also experience subject-object duality. We experience as outside in, and therefore we are not able to get our minds around a non-dual experience of two Brahman. I'm not sure if I'm making sense, but I cannot get my mind around how can something appearance to Brahman be compatible with non-duality.
It isn't. Usually the question is the other way around. People understand, to me I understand. How is it in me and how is it of me that I don't understand? So, the world is appearing to you in you, and it is nothing but you. The world is appearing to you. That's pretty obvious. Isn't the world appearing to you right now? Right now? The reason I'm saying it's to Brahman, in Brahman, nothing but Brahman, or it's an appearance of Brahman. So these are steps. First you start off with to you. Don't start with to Brahman. Start with to you. The world is appearing to me. Does this make sense? That's a common sense assertion. So that's a way of teaching. The world is appearing to me. And then you have to go to the world is appearing in me. And then the world is nothing but me. The world appearance is nothing but me. All right. Let's do this in two levels. One is a philosophical level and one is actually the experiential level. The philosophical level is this. When I say the world is appearing to me, then I am consciousness, the world is a material world which is appearing to consciousness. This is a Sankhyan view, a dualistic view. Consciousness matter. It's pretty commonsensical. That's how, if you settle down quietly and observe oneself and observe the world, it will come down to that. If we don't examine, what will happen is, we will take a part of the world as myself. Which part? The body. The body is definitely part of the material world. Here's the material world. The body is part of the material world. And Vedanta, not only Vedanta, all Indian philosophies make this extraordinary step that even mind is part of the material world. And I am the consciousness to which the mind and body are appearing and the world is appearing. So the world is appearing to me. For the unreflective person, the boundaries of the world are my skin. Inside the skin, I. Outside my skin, the world. For the reflective person, the thoughtful person, the boundaries of the world are consciousness. I am aware. And what I am aware of is the world. If you do that, that's a huge step forward. That's Sankhya. That's just at the verge of, that is, from their perspective, Sankhyan perspective, this is enlightenment. That's it, it's done. You are consciousness and you are free. That's it. The world is material out there or not there, whatever it is. Why do you care? It will not touch you. All right. But this is the step one only. Then the second step is, this world is not a material world. It is Maya Vivarta. It is an appearance. Because of Maya, Brahman is appearing in this way. So Vivarta, an appearance. It is in Brahman that this world is appearing. It is in Maya. Because of Maya, in consciousness, this world is appearing. Not outside. That's the second step. This is called Vivartavada. But actually, non-dual, this Advaita Vedanta goes even further. It says, what is this world? It is Brahman. Even though it appears as the world. But the appearance, if you de-stress the appearance part of it and stress the underlying reality, it's Brahman. It's like looking at the table and saying, you can say the table is a name and a form and a function. It's a name table. It's a form like this. It's a function. You can keep stuff on it. But you can stress the underlying reality of it, the essential, the substance. And when you touch the table, you don't say I'm touching a name or a form or a function. Say I'm touching the wood, the material. Touch wood. Touch wood. I don't say touch table. Touch wood. So if you stress the material, the substance, the reality of it, you would say it is wood and wood throughout. What is the altar? It's wood and wood throughout. And now somebody whose attention is on the name and the form, they will dispute it. They'll say, no. You're saying both are the same. How is it the same? This is a table. This is an altar. You'll say, my friend, you are looking at the name and the form and the function. I'm looking at what it really is. To me, it doesn't matter. The name and the form and the function. So, 3 answers I've given you, philosophically speaking. What is this world? It is Brahman. You are Brahman, the world is Brahman. It's only one undivided. There's no difference between you and the world also. There's no division. Sri Ramakrishna's Advaita Guru, Totapuri, would put a stick in the flowing Ganga and say, look, this stick makes the difference. On one side is this is the ego. On one side is me and one side is the world. But you lift the stick, it's just water through and through. Even when the stick was there, it's just water through and through. I mean, in the example, at least the stick is made of wood. But in reality, even the ego is nothing but Brahman. So there's one limitless Brahman. That's the real answer from Advaita perspective. But if that's too much, then you come down to Vivartavada, the Maya theory. That's also within Advaita. Yes, it's a slight distinction is made between, like the distinction between waking and dream. So there is Brahman and there is an appearance, an illusory, dream-like quality of the world appearing in Brahman. But that's only one, there's a compromise. Vivekananda, when he and Hajra, they were discussing in outside Sri Ramakrishna's room, they were making fun of non-duality, Advaita Vedanta. Saying, where the rishi is mad, the pot is God, the door is God, the window is God, the jug is God. What? It's ridiculous. Sri Ramakrishna said, what are you discussing? Why are you saying that? And he touched Narendra's chest. And Narendranath says, Vivekananda later, he says, I saw one limitless existence everywhere, one shining existence. And he says it was an experience, not just an understanding. It was obvious. And it was not stopping. Even when he went back home, he would sit at the table and his mother would serve food. He would see it was all the same, himself and the food that he's eating. Sometimes he would not eat, sometimes he would not stop eating. And his mother thought the boy has got an incurable disease, he will die soon. And that was one. He said then, very subtle point, many people miss it. It shifted afterwards, after a few days. And then the world appeared as a dream. And he says, I went to the park. That park is still there, Hedua Park, outside the home where Vivekananda's home, the Hedua Park. He said, I went there, and the iron railings which are still there. And he says, I banged my head against them to feel if they were substantial. The horse-drawn carriage was rushing towards me on the street, and I had no inclination to move aside because it all seemed like an appearance. Luckily, he moved aside. That's why we are here today. After some time, that subsided and the world came back into, sort of settled back into place, real. But he said, after that, I could not doubt the conclusions of Vedanta anymore. Now, that is a very vivid experience from a very pure yogic mind. But the understanding of that should be clear to us. So notice there were two levels of that Advaitic experience of Vivekananda. One was it's Brahman alone. Another one, Brahman, yes, but the world is like a dream, an illusion. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Is it a duality? Apparently, not really. Duality means two real things. One real and one dream is not a duality. One rope appearing as a snake is not a duality. It's the rope only. And the third answer, the one which I gave first, is a Sankhyan answer. Yes, the world is real, separate, appearing to you. Now notice, three answers you said. The world appearing to Brahman, in Brahman, and nothing but Brahman. World appearing to you, in you, and nothing but you. Now experientially. We can all participate in this. Just look, see. You'll be like, yes, I am. Isn't the world appearing to you? I'm just talking about the visual experience. Make it very, very granular, precise. I'm looking at the world. Yes, the world is appearing to me. What do you mean the world is appearing to you? Oh, well, people and chairs and fan and ceiling and the carpet and space and air and, air is not appearing to me nor space, but it's intuited. And the world outside, they're all appearing to me. But now let me ask you, is that true? Are people and chairs and the air and the buildings and the sky and the fan, are they all entering your eyes? No, thank God. You have to call 911. What happened? He looked at the world. He's gone blind. No, only light. By the time it comes to the sense organ, to the eyes, it's only light. Nobody doubts that. It's common sense. It's just basic school science. Only light is entering the eyes. And very soon, in a split second, that light is not there anymore. It's just bursts of electricity racing along our optic nerves. It means what? The world. The world of your experience. I literally mean it. What is out there, we are not very sure. Philosophers will talk about it. Scientists will talk about it. But what we are experiencing, what are you experiencing? One answer, first answer, world, people, chairs, tables. Deeper answer, light. Then, bursts of electricity. Then, Chitta vritti, thoughts in the mind. Those bursts of electricity somehow, nobody knows till now. That's the mind-body dualism, mind-brain dualism. Somehow becomes the mind. What is the world in the mind? It's mind only. What is the world when it reaches your eyes? Light. What is the world racing through your brain? Impulses, electrical impulses? Through your what? Axons, dendrites and all that? To the optical nerves. And what is the world when you are experiencing it in the mind? Movements of the mind. Chitta vritti. All sight, all sound, all smell, taste, touch. It's just movements in the mind. Right or wrong? It has to be right. The world in the mind is mind only. And the mind is illumined by consciousness, like waves in the ocean. The ocean is water only. What are the waves? Water. What is the mind illumined in consciousness? Consciousness only. Think about it. Notice it. If you can notice it, you'll be enlightened. And there's no doubt about it. If you can complete the noticing process. Even the simple, indubitable fact that the world entering my eyes is light only is a wonderful meditation. Then the world inside the skull is electrical impulses. The world in the mind, the same world in the mind, is thought waves in the mind. Chitta vritti. And the mind illumined by consciousness, again we are back to reflected consciousness, is nothing but consciousness. That's an amazing thing. Chittam chiditi vijaniya takaro vishayadhyasa. This is in a verse, 2 verses actually, from a stotra called Vedanta Dindima. Vedanta Dindima means the drumbeat of Vedanta. The mind, I'm translating, know the mind to be nothing other than pure consciousness, with an overlay of objects. That overlay is very important, which transforms, apparently transforms consciousness into mind, the witness consciousness into mind and reflected consciousness. Sanskrit, chittam, those who understand the Sanskrit or those who know the Sanskrit spelling, chiditi vijaniyat, know chitta to be chit. The word chittam in Sanskrit means mind. The word chit in Sanskrit means pure consciousness. The only difference when you spell it, suppose I spell it in English, C-H-I-T, chit, pure consciousness. C-H-I-T-T-A-M is, or C-H-I-T-T-A is mind. The only difference is that extra T-A which is added in Sanskrit, ta. Takaro vishayadhyasa. What is that ta? What is that T-A? It's pronounced in Sanskrit as ta. What is that T-A? It's the appearance of objects. In Sanskrit, it's a profound term, Vishaya Adhyasa. It's like the snake appearing in the rope. What is the snake appearing in the rope? Nothing but rope. What is the world appearing in consciousness? Nothing but consciousness. Good. One more, the lady who had raised her hand. Oh, please come. You'll come next. We'll have the question from the internet audience. Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste Guruji. My name is Nandini. I had actually asked you a question in the prior Ask Swami as well. So thank you so much for allowing me to ask again. I actually work as a therapist, and part of the direction that I work from is serving others and not seeing my clients or the people in front of me as separate beings, but that their concerns, their lives, their experiences are what I and anyone could experience or have experienced in some way or another. I think the struggle that I have, or the limit to where I reach, is being able to reach out or understand consciousness through service when the Maya or the world around us kind of constricts us in more practical or critical, like concrete ways from being able to reach there. So I suppose my main question is, how do I still maintain that path to exploring and reaching that consciousness when all of these practical aspects also come in and constrict us?
It's a good question. But the answer, Swami Turiyanandaji, no, it was Swami Akhandanandaji, direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, who established the first the orphanage and famine relief in the eastern part of Bengal, Murshidabad district, when Swami Vivekananda was alive actually. And Swami Vivekananda greatly appreciated and supported him, Gangadhar. He used to call him Ganges, Gangadhar. He said towards the end of his life, that this I have learned: scatter yourself amidst the world at large. Make the world one with you and make yourself one with the world. The Bengali is more direct. So, this is Advaita, non-duality. Because we think of spirituality generally as stepping back and withdrawing. I will not experience the world, I'll sit quietly in meditation. Or I will not love the world, I will love God. Loving the world is desire. In particular desires. I will love God. It's like stepping away or moving away from the world in some sense. But he says, ultimately, if Advaita, non-duality is true, then this itself must be Brahman. We are in the ocean of Brahman. So make yourself so big that you scatter yourself in the world. And invite the world back in to become one with you. But remember, this has to be done on a spiritual basis. It'll drive you crazy otherwise. If you try to scatter yourself in the lives of others, they'll tell you who invited you. And if you invite them into your life, they'll drive you crazy. Only in a spiritual sense. Now, instead of doing that directly, service is a powerful way of doing it. Here are these people, instead of trying to see how this is one consciousness, instead of trying to do that, theoretically, philosophically, analytically, try to do it in service. You have got a great opportunity. Here are people who are suffering. Let me feel one with them. Let me try to mirror their suffering at least a little bit so that I can feel it. So when you feel it and yet you have an analyst's, a therapist's distance within yourself. This is how this person is feeling. It's called empathy,
Yes.
Not sympathy. Sympathy is when you feel what the other person is feeling and agree with that person. That may not be helpful. But empathy is when you can actually feel the feeling of the other person. And you can help the person. So that's a great way of achieving oneness. And over time you will see, when you see that oneness, you will see the oneness is of consciousness, of being, of awareness. It's not oneness of body. The bodies are different. It's not oneness of personality also. That personality is different and our personality, your personality is different. But beyond the body, deeper than the body, deeper than the personality, there is one ocean of being or awareness in which these are like bubbles coming up. That you will actually viscerally feel through your service. It's a great thing. Yeah. Some practical advice, which I've seen in recent literature I noticed you said clients, not patients. That's very good. That's the new terminology. And she'll be laughing. It's not new, Swami. You are outdated. Yes, it's good. Cognitive behavior therapy, CBT. And I've seen how mindfulness has entered CBT. Now in textbooks also, mindfulness is a formal part of therapy.
That's what it is.
Yes. So mindfulness not only for that person, now mindfulness for the therapist also. Being aware of one's thoughts, emotions. Again, in all these cases, big help is to make your life about one thing only. If I am about one thing only, about God realization, then the answers will come clearly. Confusions will be resolved in that light. Should I do this or should I not do this? If I see that it is a personal desire, an axe to grind because of my own personality, don't do it. But if you see this is the service of the Lord, do it.
Even with the challenges from the practical world, though?
The challenges in the practical world will help you then. Always common sense.
Yes.
I am one with you, therefore let us, as somebody is suicidal, let me also jump in and commit suicide with you. No. That's too much. There is the classic cartoon. The usual, the couch on which the, not patient now, client is lying down and talking about his or her life. This gentleman is lying and talking about his life. That really doctor, things get so bad, I feel like ending my life. Well, I have told you all about it, and things get so bad, I feel like ending my life. And you can see from the window, the doctor is already standing on the ledge about to jump. That's too much empathy.
Right.
Yes. So what I'm saying is, one thing only, mindfulness and service as a way of becoming one with the world. Yeah. Vivekananda stressed that, Akhandananda, he talks about that. You can directly experience Advaita here through service, through seva. Namaste.
This question is from Shiv Tej, who's in New York. Brahman is often described in paradoxical terms. It is attributeless, nirguna, yet can be conceived with attributes, saguna, for the purpose of meditation and worship. To realize the attributeless Brahman, the true self within, meditation attributes have to be dropped. How does the mind do that? The mind always has a query.
How does the mind drop attributes? And when the answer, you're right. The mind cannot function without attributes, without properties, without labels, without activities. So when the mind becomes no mind, then only. But what does it mean precisely? Are you with attributes or without attributes? By attributes I mean properties, qualities, distinctive features. Immediately our answer is, of course I have distinctive features. I am this guy and I have a name, I have a certain height and a weight and a medical history, a personal history, a job history, an academic record, my own narration of my life. I have a financial record. All of these are attributes. Social attributes, psychological attributes, physical attributes. But it's all related to the body and its activities in the world. Go to the mind. The mind also has certain attributes. That's what's measured in personality tests and all. Definitely the mind has attributes. But Vedanta says you are not the body, not the mind. Or at least that's a shocker for many people. I take it more gently. Somebody said, don't keep saying that, Swami. People don't like it. All right, I can say that you are not only the body, not only the mind. You're not just the body or just the mind. The witness consciousness, the sakshi which we have been talking about, that is attributeless. You might say, isn't consciousness an attribute of it then? No. Consciousness is what it is. So the table is wood. And then it has a certain size, certain color, certain shape. Those are attributes. But the wood is not an attribute. Wood is the reality of this table. It's a substance. Somewhat like that, in more so. Consciousness is what you are. Being, existence is what you are. That has no attribute. Attributes are imposed upon it. Now, because we have an aspect to our being which has attributes, body, which has attributes, mind, and an aspect to our being which our reality about ourselves, which is attributeless, beyond properties, beyond qualities. Therefore, attributeless meditation is possible. You said, how can the mind, which always has attributes, has properties, how can it do a non-dual meditation? Well, because the essence of the mind, the reality beyond the mind is attributeless. And when the mind, you try to focus being attributeless, the mind will become no mind. Mind will stop functioning at that time. And that is called samadhi. And I'm putting it very crudely. There are actual procedures. It's not as simple as that. The Guru will not tell you, sit quietly. Okay, what next? Drop all attributes. No. That doesn't function. And that doesn't work. So, our attention, and you know the techniques. There are many such techniques. Our attention will be drawn, first of all, away from the world to the body. You feel the body, actually, experientially. From there, the attention will be drawn to the breath. More inwards, more subtle. The breath. From there, the attention will be drawn to the mind, the emotions, thoughts, memories. There, the attention, you'll have to draw your attention inwards further to the intellect, the power of understanding, which is using all this. From there, the intellect also, the ego there, the sense of I itself. From there to beyond that, suppose you are not aware of the body, of the world. World has disappeared. Suppose you are not aware. Do a thought experiment. You are not aware of the body. Suppose you are not aware of the breath. Keep breathing. Don't stop breathing. Suppose you are not aware of the breath. Suppose the mind has quietened down. No thoughts. Emotions are neutral. No memories. You don't even remember what happened a moment ago. Entire life forgotten. Nothing is there. Then the sense of I also drop it. If you can drop it. You will find a blankness. Just a peaceful, quiet blankness. Now, what is that blankness appearing to? That's the pure subject. And you will notice, either you'll fall asleep. It's very nice, peaceful. That sleep is just the deepening of that blankness, nothing else. But what we are asking is, what is that blankness or even the sleep, consequent sleep, what is it appearing to? That one has no attributes, and yet it exists. Yes. That's why non-dual meditation is possible. I'm establishing the theoretical possibility of non-dual meditation, even without attributes. Just as an addendum, remember the primary procedure in Advaita Vedanta is not non-dual meditation. It is inquiry, which will reveal to us an already existing non-dual self, which is not dependent on your meditation. However, meditation can sharpen and deepen that inquiry, no doubt about it. One more question.
This is from Sayan Mitra. Revered Maharaj, you explained that everything in the universe is an illusion. Yet I find myself wondering, if everything is an illusion, why am I not an illusion as well? Why am I, as an individual, not also part of this illusion? And instead, why do I remain as Brahman, the ultimate reality?
Okay. This is a fundamental question in Vedanta. If you're saying everything is illusion, we are not. But suppose you are. Then why am I not? Do I exist? That is the first question. The first question in philosophy. First serious question in philosophy. Serious question. Those existentialists were very serious fellows. That book, what is that very famous book, existentialists? The Stranger? I think so. The first line, very famous line. The only question is, why should I not commit suicide just now? The only serious question is, why shouldn't I kill myself just now? Is it a stranger? The stranger or the outsider, I think, maybe. Camus, maybe. Yeah. Well, Vedanta says, even more serious question. Even to kill yourself, first you have to examine whether you exist or not. What will you kill? So, this question, the answer to that is a firm yes. I do exist. It cannot be doubted. Even to doubt it is to prove my own existence. Because I am the existence of the doubter. In Sanskrit, there is something called vadato vyaghata. In my very expression, in my speech itself, I contradict it. Suppose I say, I cannot speak, and I say it. Contradicted. Similarly, to doubt my own existence is to prove my own existence. So it was, I mentioned again and again, Descartes, René Descartes, the mathematician who's a great philosopher also, more than 300 years ago. Cogito ergo sum, I think therefore I exist. David Chalmers in his new book Reality Plus, he points out a simple fact. It doesn't even have to be just I think, therefore I exist. I walk, therefore I exist. I remember, therefore I exist. I enjoy or I suffer, therefore I exist. Any conscious experience proves to you your own existence. So, my own existence cannot be doubted. The doubt itself proves my own existence. So, the first answer to this question is, why am I not an illusion? No, you are not. If you are an illusion, who is experiencing that illusion? The fact that you are saying that I am experiencing an illusion means you are there. Oh, I am an illusion. That also you are experiencing. You are there then. Sri Ramakrishna would say the magic is an illusion. The magician is not an illusion. You, the experiencer of the magic, is not an illusion. So that's one. The Vedantist put it this way. There are these three things you cannot say. Try to say it. First one, I don't exist. Try to say it. I said it, I don't exist. But what does it mean? Take a look. Is it true? No, I'm telling a lie. I know I'm telling a lie when I say I don't exist. One. Second thing you cannot say, I am not conscious. Or let's put it this way. I am ignorant. In English, it's a little difficult. In Hindi, I've heard this in Hindi. Main agya hoon. I am not knowledge or I am not conscious. You can't say it. But no, I fall asleep. No, right now. Try to say it. No, you can't. See that I don't exist, that also one can say, yeah, I exist now, but very soon I will not exist. In 20, 30, 40, 50 years or 100 years, I will not exist. One will claim that. And there also one must investigate, why is one claiming it? You will immediately see, my existence, I have tied it up with my body. There's an implicit assumption which I've smuggled in. Right now, I report my own experience. I exist. I cannot say, honestly, I cannot say that I don't exist. This is my direct report, honest report of my experience. But when I say, yeah, that's a trivial fact, I exist, but very soon, the real big problem is very soon I will not exist. But there, already, I have smuggled in the idea that I am the body. When I say, such and such person died, that person doesn't exist anymore, I'm so sad. How do you know that person doesn't exist? When that person was there and you're interacting with that person, were you interacting only with the body? Not at all. You're interacting with a personality, a conscious being, an embodied being. Now notice the trick we play upon ourselves. When there is death, what is the death? Whose death? What is dying? The body. That's the medical definition of death. No book, no medical book will say the extinction of the personality or the non-existence of Satchidananda is death. Never. You see, that's because they don't accept Satchidananda, but they accept the personality. They can never claim that the personality is extinguished. What test is there? So death always defined legally, medically, death of the body, destruction of the body. But destruction of the body, which till that point I did not say is that person. The person was embodied in that person. That embodied person is dead. How am I saying that? You see the trick we are playing upon ourselves. The trick is mediated by, facilitated by the materialistic reduction of the personality to the body. You say, oh, that's pretty easy, Swami, because that personality is nothing but the body. One philosopher called it nothing buttery. It's nothing buttery. All the thoughts, the life, the emotions, the achievements, the science, the art, and all the great things this person has achieved is nothing but a skeleton. And some flesh attached to it. Some liquid stuff. That's... One philosopher said, it's like saying, he was sitting and there was a Coke bottle in front of him in the lecture. He said, our idea about ourselves, mainstream, materialistic idea, reductionist idea is just, we are being told we are exactly like that fizzing Coke bottle. This is the fizzing Coke bottle. Little more complicated than the Coke in their bottle. Some other chemicals are there, it's just fizzing. And that's it. That's what you are. That's materialism. That's gross materialism. And that does not work. You might still put a question, why do you think that's wrong? You seem to be skeptical or objecting to it. Yes, I think that's wrong for very good reasons. The good reason is called the hard problem of consciousness. The fizzing Coke bottle, you can reduce the fizzing to the chemicals in it and the chemical reactions. But try to reduce the personality, the person you are interacting with, try to reduce it to the brain. Nobody has succeeded till now. Not even close, not even close. The very fact that there are not many theories, there are 10 categories of theories. Robert Kuhn's, there is this landscape of consciousness. It's an encyclopedic putting together of how many theories of consciousness are there. He says 10 groups of theories, classification. It's like the biological classification of life which we had learnt, species and genera and all of that. It's like that. And that's a sign that the field is immature. There's just wild speculation all over the field. So there is no consensus, no understanding of how the personality is. Is it at all just this fizzing Coke bottle? So, you cannot say that I do not exist. You cannot say that I am not aware or I am not conscious. And third, you cannot say that I am not dear to myself. This I'm translating. This is not good translations in Sanskrit. Priya. That I do not exist. I am not aham agya. I am ignorant or I do not know. I do not know certain things. But there's no knowledge, no awareness at all. That I can't say. And this awareness, existence is not dear to itself. That also you cannot say. And these three are called Sat Chit Ananda. And then there is a further step, that this Sat Chit Ananda is not limited. It's not a separate Sat Chit Ananda. It's not that there is a separate wave and in that is a little bit of water. No, the moment you come to water, it is one ocean of water. Every wave, that wave and the neighboring waves, they are water. And the boundaries between the waves, it's water. It's water and water through and through. The moment you come to Satchidananda and you do the inquiry, it can be done. You will begin to see it's actually an ocean of Satchidananda. It's not, there's a person called Sarvapriyananda and a little bit of Satchidananda has been pumped into it. No, not like that. It is one Satchidananda appearing as this person and that person and that person. This is the infinity of the absolutely certain non-illusory self. Answer to that question. I'm looping back to complete the circle here. How do I know I'm not an illusion? You know for certain. Little inquiry will show this. One thing is impossible, that you are an illusion. Step one. Step two, this non-illusory, absolutely certain self. There are three things you cannot claim about it. That it does not exist, that it is not aware, that it is not dear to itself. Then this existence, awareness and dearness. Dearness is not in the sense of expense. Dearness in the sense of bliss. This is limitless. This is Advaita Vedanta. Question? Somebody had? Yes, please come. Yes, and then we'll go to the very last person in the room. You are qualified and by dint of being the last person in the room. Yes.
Namaste, Swamiji. My name is Natalie. Earlier you said, I'll ask my question and then give a little bit of context. Earlier you said no company is better than quote-unquote bad company. My question is how to honor this idea without hurting people or falling into the trap of thinking you're special or pretending you're special. Because Vedanta has changed me thoroughly, so now everyone in my life is asking questions about Vedanta, which is nice. But it's also created this kind of paradoxical effect where on the one hand there's obviously oneness, but also kind of an embodied sense of alienation sometimes where I physically cannot be in certain spaces almost or participate in certain conversations, and I find it very hard to navigate this without hurting people or pretending that I am
true. And this is something that everybody faces. I remember this lady asked a question to Swami Ashokanandaji in the 1950s in the Vedanta Society of Northern California in San Francisco. He says that you have come to Vedanta and very soon your daughter or son will say, Mum is no fun anymore. Your friends will say, come to the party, and you don't want to go to the party anymore. You're no fun anymore. What do you say to that? And Ashokanji said, I say good riddance to bad rubbish. You have done a lot of that in your lives. There's a time when you must move on. Of course, you must not be unkind. But if you literally have to force yourself into an unpleasant situation, don't. Don't. You will always find a few people, like-minded people. It's good to have company who are like-minded, who are spiritual. There are many people who are interested. To the extent that such people are around, nowadays in a virtual world, you can have a virtual circle of such people. Good. Beyond that, how much human company do you need? Be friendly to others. I remember this one little schoolgirl long ago in a school in Calcutta. I still remember the question. It threw me up for a moment. There was a Q&A. There were school children there. One little girl said, I don't have any friends. How do I get friends? So luckily somewhere inspiration gave me the right answer at that moment. I said, try to be a good friend to others. You will get good friends. You will get friends. So, yes, how much company do we need? We don't need too much company. I remember when I was a student and I was in a dorm with other students, I asked the student counselor, who was a very wise old Jesuit priest. I asked him, Father, I am friendly with everybody. People are nice to me, I'm nice to them. But I'm not really, I know there are groups of guys, I'm not really part of any of those groups. I'm not really part of any of those. I was interested in spirituality, in philosophy, and I had already secretly decided to become a monk. So I was not part of those groups. So I asked him, I'm not part of those groups. I wonder why, and what do I do? And he said something very wise. He looked at me. My name is Vishwarup. So he said, Vishwarup, do you want to be part of those groups? You're exactly where you want to be. You want to be friendly with them. You want to have good relations with them. You have. But you really don't want to be part of those groups and their activities. You don't. So you're not part of those groups. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to say these things, not easy to navigate in life. Don't try to be, don't pretend to be very Vedantic to your friends. Just be relaxed. If they say, oh, you're really changed and you're spiritual and you're happy, well, I'm happy for you. I wonder how I can get some of that, happiness in my life. Wonderful, good. Share books and lectures with them. If somebody says, what's all this spirituality? You're the same old useless person, you're no good. You say, good. You're doing so much of this spirituality. I don't see any improvement in you. Okay. Remember, your life is about one thing only. Those other people are incidental. My life is not about impressing them or satisfying them. Once your life is about one thing only, you are autonomous. You're now moving on your own power. You're not being driven by the pressures of relatives, friends, community, the job. No. There's one goal and you will go to it unstoppably.
Thank you.
Thank you. The lady absolutely at the back. Yes, please come. Tell us your name and ask the question.
Namaste, Swami. My name is Malika and I live in Jersey. My question is, even after having the knowledge of Advaita, oneness and that connectedness, universal consciousness, and I've had the glimpse of that oneness and experiencing that universal love. However, I still find myself sometimes getting existential and questioning what is the purpose of it all, why am I here? And I feel stuck because I don't know how can one move beyond these existential questions and still experience that love.
Yes. The existential questions, they are for every one of us, and that we attend to it is a good thing. Most people have these questions and they dismiss it and go on. The pressures of life are so much. You have to earn a living, you have to get a degree and then earn a living and then raise a family. The pressures of life are so much. And then you come back to those questions again when you are 70 years old. No, it's good to attend to those questions from the very beginning. Now there is help. For example, in Vedanta, you see these existential questions, what is the point of it all? And the answer is your fulfillment. It is to get what you want. Houston Smith, in his book, Religions of the World, in the chapter on Hinduism, he says, I want to try to find out like the plot, what makes sense of Hinduism, because there's so much in there. It's so rich, diverse, widely different. Can I find an underlying plot, the DNA? It's easy to do with other religions. It's simpler. There's one book, one teacher, and some variety in there within that. But in Hinduism, it's tremendously diverse. And he finds a beautiful way of explaining it. He says, it is this. Hinduism tells you you can have what you want. And it immediately brings smiles to your face. Really? But then it raises a very big question. The question you have raised. What is it that I want? What is it that I want? And we'll say, I bet I can tell you, Swami, just look at my Amazon shopping cart. I want all that. But really, do we? We have been trying our best all our lives to get what we want. And what we want keeps changing. The composition of the shopping cart changes from when we were toddlers, we wanted certain things. When we were little kids, when we were teenagers, young people, middle-aged people, older people, what we want, the composition of the shopping cart keeps changing. Which shows us we really don't know what we want. We think we want them, we get it, never really truly satisfied. And if we don't get it, frustrated. So these are the only two results of our attempts, frustration or dissatisfaction. I'm frustrated because I didn't get what I wanted. Or I'm dissatisfied. I got what I wanted, but it was not quite fulfilling. And I want new things now. So Hinduism says basically what we want. Would you want a helping hand? I said, yes, can you help me out? Like a consultant, life consultant. What do I want? And Hinduism says 4 things. You want 4 things. Not that you have to want them. You actually do want these 4 things. The first 3 are easily understood. One is pleasure. And that is under one head called kama. Pleasure. All sorts of pleasure. From the most gross to the most refined. Then there is artha. Artha means literally wealth, money, power, success, achievement in life, status. All that's what most people are after. Very few people are, once in a while you're partying, pleasure, but most of the time people are working, especially in this city that never sleeps. So this is artha and kama. And then there is dharma. We also want to be good people, moral people, leave our mark in the world, better ourselves and better everybody else. We do want it. At least in our own eyes. Even the worst of person in their own eyes tries to, that's the reason why we keep justifying ourselves. Because we want somebody to argue for I, me, mine. So we have an internal self, like court-appointed lawyer, internal self-appointed lawyer, explaining away whatever we are doing. So I want to be a good person, dharma, moral, ethical. These are the things everybody wants. And all of these, religion will help us on the basis of dharma, what is permissible, what is decent, moral in the sphere of pleasure seeking and wealth seeking. All of that, this is what is meant by being a good person, a decent person. But Hinduism says this is just the beginning. Hinduism says that you don't have to teach people to want wealth or pleasure. That's instinctive. What religion can do is draw a line around it. Channel that instinctive urge into a decent moral person. Yes, pleasure. Yes, wealth and success. But not immorally. Not in an indecent way. Not unethically. Within the bounds of dharma. But then Hinduism says the real thing is something that you don't know to ask for, which it calls moksha. Many words are there. Moksha, mukti, kaivalya, Nirvana. Nirvana, by the way, is pre-Buddhistic. It's in Buddhism, that's the goal. But it's you find in Gita, you find in the Vedas, Nirvana, Brahma Nirvanam, in 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So these are all words. This was the great project of the Indian civilization, not just Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, later Sikhism. The great project of the Indian civilization was there's an ultimate goal which we are all moving towards. And discovery of many, many different ways, many technologies, many ways of achieving that. And many examples throughout the ages, throughout the millennia, in every phase of Indian civilization, you have had many masters, many saints, men and women who have achieved that. And they have blazed a trail before us and they show us not one, not two, but multiple ways of achieving it. You see it's written there, truth is one, the sages call it variously. And this is like 4,000 to 5,000 years old. So that's what we want. This is the answer to your question. So the greatest question of all, existential question. What is it that I want? I want these things. And primarily, spirituality tells me I want that liberation, moksha, God realization. Because even if we achieve the other three, our lives will be little better than what it was earlier. But it will not be the end. The cycle will keep on going. Vivekananda says you cannot run away from the machine. Learn to work the machine will set you free. Now, if I try to run away from life, that's the machine. It will drag me back, suck me back in again. And if I try to cheat and shortcut in life, not know how to work the machine, I don't have the manual. So, pleasure and wealth by hook and crook, I don't care. Then I'll ruin myself. The machine will crush me. They say you can't break these moral laws, you can only break yourself against these moral laws. The machine will crush me. Not totally. I'll still be there, miserable. Then I'll have to learn to put my life together again. Then I learn to work the machine. What is working the machine? Dharma, artha, kama. Pursue what I want in this world. If you think it's going to make you happy, if you think money is going to make you happy, if you think health and good relationships, see, all our positive psychologists, they say, yes, that's what's going to make you happy. Good, try it. Try it. And it will make you a little happier than you were earlier, when you learn to work the machine. I'm glad there is positive psychology discipline today. So many wonderful things which are all anecdotal, which are all there in religion, not just in Vedanta or Hinduism. In every religion, these eternal truths are there. But now they are being restated in the language of positive psychology now. Resilience, service, what is that? Where you gratitude, where you help others, altruism. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Altruism. Resilience, focus, very important in this day and age. So many essential things which are key components of a healthy psyche. Now they are being found out and restated in scientific terms. And it's one of the most popular subjects in college campuses. Courses on happiness, on resilience, human flourishing. Very good. So you are learning to work the machine. And then comes freedom from the machine. That is spirituality. That's where karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga, the core of every major religion is the spirituality. Long-winded answer.
Thank you.
Let me do a peace chant and then we will wrap up. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.